Are private foundations actually private? The short answer is not really. The term private foundation can be misleading because while they are indeed private entities, they operate under specific legal and regulatory requirements. These rules make some aspects of their operations publicly available. In this video, I'm going to explain what makes private foundations, quote, private and the limits of that privacy. For those of you that don't know me, my name is Daniel Kaminsky. I'm an enrolled agent and I help people set up and manage private foundations. So why are private foundations considered to be private? It's mainly because of who establishes, funds, and controls them. Typically, the who would be an individual, family, or corporation. For example, if someone wants to be charitable but doesn't have any family or doesn't want them to be involved, they can establish a foundation, fund it themselves, and be the only board member. A quick pro tip: certain states won't allow solo board members, which is one of the reasons we use Delaware for all new foundations. A family foundation would be like the one my wife and I established. She and I are on the board, and we're the ones that are funding it. Eventually, once our son and any future kids are old enough, they can participate and hopefully take over the management someday. A corporate foundation, as the name implies, is established, funded, and controlled by a corporation. A lot of Fortune 500 companies have one as part of their social impact initiatives. And most of the time, executives from the corporation are also the board members of the foundation. In all three of those examples, the common theme is control via the board of directors, meaning control of who sits on the board, how the assets are invested, and where the grants are given. Which leads us to why their privacy is limited in the first place. And it starts with public disclosure requirements. Private foundations must file an annual tax return called Form 990-PF. This filing includes information about the foundation's financials, governance, and grants made during the year. The 990-PFs are considered to be public records, which allows transparency into the foundation's operations and financial activities. The second is regulatory oversight. Congress considers the tax-exempt status for private foundations to be a privilege, and for that privilege, they are subject to federal regulations like the 5% expenditure rule and avoiding prohibited transactions like self-dealing. The last reason is because the general purpose of a foundation is to serve the public good. Although privately funded and controlled, private foundations exist to serve the public good through their giving. This public-facing mission requires a degree of accountability to ensure they are fulfilling their charitable purpose. Even with the rules and regulations, there are a few ways that we can maintain privacy for our clients. The most obvious is in the naming of the foundation. While a lot of foundations use the founder's last name, it's not a requirement. And as such, choosing a more discreet name can increase privacy. Another easy way is to use an address other than your personal home address. This could be a PO box, a UPS mailbox, or business address. The last way to increase privacy has to do with how you give cash or assets to your foundation. Instead of making contributions in your name, you could use a trust or other entity. With those strategies in place, the only personally identifying information would be your name on the EPF as director, officer, or trustee. Private foundations are private in terms of funding and decision-making, but are subject to public scrutiny due to disclosure requirements and regulatory oversight. This ensures that they operate in line with their charitable mission and don't misuse their tax-exempt status. So while they are private in structure, they aren't entirely private in practice.